Hi everyone, my name is Nick Besso. I'm a dietitian at Sooma, a multidisciplinary practice that specializes in treating eating disorders and sports nutrition in both Montreal and the United States. Today I wanted to talk about the concept of a forbidden food, and this will be in a two-part series where we first describe what a forbidden food is and then describe the act of engaging in food exposures in order to heal that relationship with X food. So oftentimes when we think about a forbidden food, the word forbidden means that it's a food that we never consume, that we don't touch. So when we think about it in that context, often people will say, oh, I don't have forbidden foods. That being said, I want to offer a different definition of what a forbidden food could be. So a forbidden food is not necessarily a food that you don't eat, but it's a food that you feel like you need to monitor in some way. So maybe in terms of quantity, in terms of frequency, or in terms of the context in which it can show up. So typically, if you break a rule around this food, it might lead to uncomfortable emotions such as anxiety, guilt, shame, and frustration. So I would invite you to try to identify forbidden foods in the context of comparing them to something like spinach. So when I think about spinach, it is perhaps a very neutral food. If you eat spinach 5 times a day, you might not have any emotions about that. If you eat a whole bag of spinach, you might not have any emotions about that. And you might actually not feel like you have to monitor your spinach intake in any way. However, if we think about, for example, a bag of chips, perhaps chips are something that you allow yourself to consume on a typical day or at a typical time of day or in a certain context, but perhaps you wouldn't allow yourself to consume them however many times a day that you want, in whatever quantity that you want, and maybe you might have uncomfortable emotions if you consumed a bag of chips in one sitting. So for the video for today, I would just invite you to make a list of your forbidden foods when you compare them to something neutral like spinach. It doesn't have to be spinach if you cannot eat spinach for a certain reason, but maybe comparing them to a food that falls into this category. And then you can categorize your foods into small forbidden foods, medium forbidden foods, and large forbidden foods. And stay tuned for part 2 that will explain how do we approach this food in the context of a food exposure and what is the goal of conducting food exposures in your work with a registered dietitian. Thanks again for joining us today. If you enjoyed watching this video, please like and subscribe. We look forward to seeing you again shortly.